We're at the Main Event Training Center here in Fort Lauderdale. They put on great shows, Coastal Championship Wrestling. They have them every few months, Coral Springs Charter School. Big show coming up in February. Have the main man of the Main Event Training Center in CCW, Pablo Marquez, and this young lady, former WWE superstar, Kaitlyn, Celeste Bonin, getting back into the wrestling. Thank you both so much. Pablo, I'm going to start right here. When Kaitlyn decided to come to the Main Event Training Center, just what were your thoughts and just trying to get her back into this wrestling world?
I think at first it wasn't the plan. It just worked out that way. And of course, for me, it's a big, it's very emotional for me. It's very encouraging, inspiring for me to have her here with us and tell her story and let's see where it takes us.
It was, yeah, like Pablo said, it wasn't the intention, but it's funny because, so I contacted him initially because I was launching a YouTube channel and I wanted to get some content just in the ring. And it's like, I haven't been in the ring in like 4 years, so it's probably gonna be embarrassing. But so we had I had my video guy here and we were shooting a bunch of stuff. And it was literally the first time I've been in the ring in four years. And I left my shoes here. And he texted me, he goes, "Oh, you left your shoes, but I'm sure they'll be back." And so it's like this kind of little joke. And then within a few weeks, I was back here just training. And it wasn't the intention to oh, I'm gonna make a comeback in any aspect. It was just because I kind of missed it and I was like, oh, I love this. And I just kind of wanted to prove to myself that I could get back into it and get better. And so yeah, that's how it started.
How did you find, though, the Main Event Training Center?
Well, I had a friend who Pablo trains, and I knew about it for a few years. And then so he was the first person that I reached out to when I wanted to use a ring. And I know I could have gone down to Orlando. There's a ton of places there, but I live
Plus, where are we now, trainer? Where would you
why would I go anywhere else? So it just worked out perfectly.
When you started to get back in training, what were some of the challenges for you? Because you said you hadn't been in a ring in 4 years.
Well, so it's still a challenge for me. When I started with WWE, I had no prior training at all. And,
came from the bodybuilding world, right?
Yeah, and I was in the developmental training center for, I don't know, a matter of weeks before I got called up to debut on NXT when it was still a reality-based elimination show. So I debuted literally on live TV the first time ever, really wrestling. And so I never had the opportunity to learn the real fundamental core stuff. Which is so important, obviously. I learned from literally just being thrown in the ring and having matches, which that is an amazing way to learn too, but it helps so much to have the core knowledge.
Basic fundamentals. It's where I come in.
Pablo, what have you seen about her training and her athleticism that she's been able to do the things that you've been teaching?
Sure, obviously, a natural athlete, has prior training experience, but what I focus more on is footwork, how to, the very, very basic headlock takeovers, headlock takedowns, very, very, like she said, the core fundamentals of the business.
You're going to be having a match in February, Coral Springs Charter School Gym.
February 10th at the Coral Springs Charter School, yes. What
are you most looking forward to on that night?
I'm actually super nervous. It's funny because I've been on TV and wrestled in Madison Square Garden and the most famous arena in the world.
Wow.
But it's just this. I'm nervous for this just because it is it's a comeback and I haven't wrestled in so long. So I'm looking forward to what I miss most about wrestling is kind of the adrenaline and actually being in the ring. And it's different than practicing because you have fans there that are excited to see you and they want to see a show, and there's such a big aspect of social media of wrestling is the fans participation, how you make them feel. Are you doing your job as a entertainer? Are you making them feel the way you're supposed to make them feel about you as a character? And so all that stuff, I just want it to be right and work, and I don't know how it's gonna go over, but I know that I have a ton of friends and just people that I know that are like, oh, I'm coming. So it's gonna be fun, and I'm excited. So
Physically, different for you? Did you have more of a bodybuilder body when you were with WWE that time compared to now, or is your body pretty much what it was then
it's
compared
kind of
to
the
now?
same. Like it fluctuates. Like when I first got signed, I was like a little softer, and then I like got super ripped. I kind of like went up and down like during my WWE career, and then I was like a little heavier when I like left WWE, and then for like the past like 3 or 4 years, I was in like really good shape. I was doing like Iron Man magazine covers and stuff like that. And then this past year, I got really out of shape. I didn't work out. Like I wasn't really doing anything because I went through a divorce and like all this crazy stuff. And that was also another reason why I started training here again, is because it was like a way to kind of get back into shape and like just be me again. So we've been working on my wind, but I'm still
The cardio?
Yeah,
Sure.
but I'm still like out of shape. Like
Jim, and not to cut you off, but this ring also has you know, people come here thinking about the world for the next 2 or 3
Therapeutic.
hours. It's very therapeutic, you know, and I've told her that this is going to be very almost like therapy for you to come here and work out and forget about the world for the next couple of hours.
it is crazy because like 3 hours will go by, and because like I run a business, and so I do a lot of stuff on my phone, and like I'll look at like last practice, I looked at my phone, we were literally here for 3 hours, and it was
Yeah.
just had a blast, and I had 38 missed text messages, and I was like, but it like I don't think about it when I'm here, and it's just fun and a challenge, and it really is like an
Sure.
escape.
What is your goal now? Because you mentioned when you first did this, it was just because you were doing a YouTube channel, you're doing something
Yeah.
there. But now, are you looking at this as like something maybe down the road I can get back to WWE or do other shows around the world?
Well, initially it was when I contacted him to come here just for footage. It was like, okay, this is a part of who I am. This is part of my history. Was my life before I started my business and stuff. And it wasn't really, hey, let me get in the ring and have a match again. But he kind of propositioned me and kind of like felt it out for like a couple practices in a row, and then I was like, okay, let's do it. And so now I guess like the short-term goal is just to have a really great match and get a bunch of people there, and because it's not just a match, it's kind of this like story of how I've kind of gone through this mess of a year, and this
well.
roller coaster, and then kind of got to a point where I feel good, and I come here and it's an escape, and I'm passionate about it, so it's kind of like a story of like overcoming all of these things that I went through, and now here I am doing something that I love, and I have the opportunity to do it, and Pablo trains me literally anytime he can, and he's just been amazing. So I don't know what the like long-term goal is. It's a possibility that I will wrestle after this. I know I'm gonna keep training here. There's no like big long-term goal for it.
Tell us about the show, Pablo.
It's February 10th at the Coral Springs Charter School. It's our first ever, CCW's first ever women's main event. And of course, it's a big comeback, very emotional for her, very inspiring, emotional for me as well.
And for everybody.
And for everyone. It's going to be, I believe we're going to have a whole new set of eyeballs coming to this show. It's
Women's wrestling is just unbelievable since
Yeah.
when you wrestled, just how it's taken off.
It's-
They've had women's factions in other groups. Then WWE behind it now has really pushed it even higher up on the ladder and all. To have this great talent on your show and making the comeback and see where it goes, it'll just be awesome for fans to be able to come and check this
It's
out.
going to be very special
Yeah, special is the word. I feel like it'll be special.
for all of us, that is.
Rachel Ellering will also be on the show.
Rachael Ellering, you know, the very talented former power lifter, daughter of Paul Ellering, living legend in our sport. She'll be here.